All right, welcome back, everybody. I actually lost track of the call. I think it's 49. Maybe it's past that. Does anybody remember what call number this is
Nope.
for our series? Yes. Ta-da-ta-da. I don't have it written down anywhere. Okay. Well, it's pretty much
I
almost
think
the
it's
end.
49, Michael, because my diary always says 1 week ahead of you, and it's saying 50, I believe.
Okay, so let's assume it's 49.
Yeah.
All right, of aligning with success. And I know Dave said he would be on a little bit later. We will be obviously based on um, last week's conversation. Um, I think I may have kind of expressed some emotion in that call, and we'll be making some adjustments to the nature of this call in 2026, in January 2026, starting with the kickoff call January 5th. Um, I just made a big announcement on my uh, genealogy broadcast. How many of you guys use the genealogy broadcast in Nikan's back office? Well, I'm glad I do. So yeah, I made an announcement that should be out to the group in the next, probably already is, letting the group know what my intentions are for the next 5 years. And so my orientation around this call is based on my expectations over the next 5 years. Many of you know I've started a new group, and that is going to be my focus. Um, and you're going to benefit from the intelligence and the information that comes out of that group, and so forth, as you have been the last few weeks, actually. But it'll be more specific, and so perhaps I'm going to give you guys a bit of a training to just kind of give you a heads up on what it is that we're starting to do. The 22nd, that'll be next week, and I believe that might be the last call for the year. We may have one on the 29th. But anyway, the goal here is to gear up for the launch in January. So today is the 15th, payday. Did you all get the check that you wrote to yourself back in January of 2025? You got a check, well, a deposit, but was it what you expected? Of course, we had this conversation already in the last couple of calls about whether or not our level of intensity and activity um, correlates to the kind of income that you were seeking back in January of 20, the beginning of this year. So here we are coming up at the conclusion of this year, a year's worth of weekly calls, training, education, motivation, inspiration, insights, tools, etc. And it all comes back down to whether you really got out of your comfort zone. It just comes down to that simple idea. Did you get out of your comfort zone and make some moves? Well, 2026 for me is 100% about that. It's really only about that. I I um I was sharing with another consultant today who was asking about what is the goal for 2026? What's my intention with this call based on last week's call? And I said, I'm at a point where I either retire or I go for it. And I think I'm too young to retire and still too ambitious and motivated. So I have to go for it. And go for it means going out of cruise control, taking the plane off of cruise control and putting throttles full on, and taking this thing to flight for another 5 year run. And this will be my last 5 year run, but I know what can happen in that time frame. I was actually writing my email, $2 billion in organizational sales of my network. And that means about $1 billion in commissions paid out. I've lost count at how many diamonds I have in my organization, diamonds and royal diamonds. That's a good thing. And so that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about getting excited about building the next generation of diamonds and royal diamonds with the level of intensity that is warranted for, and here's what I said to this person. I said, okay, well, let's be me for a second. Um, and I'm glad Dave joined because I'm sure you can relate to this. So, um, if I was going to do a 5-year run, right? I have a choice. I could just say, okay, I've made my money with Nikan. Let me go and do something new. Start with a new company, new network. It would be network marketing because I would be bored with anything else. Everything else would be lesser than me. So it would be network marketing, and it might be like another company, one that's maybe 10 years old or 15 years old or just a startup or who cares? Whatever. The point is, if I were to start today with another network marketing company, the intensity that I would approach that with is very clear. It's like starting a new business. What's the intensity you approach that with? Because if you're not approaching that with 110% output, you're not going to attract anybody to your business or your experience because there's just too many distractions for anybody to waste any time with somebody who's not passionate and not 100% in, not all in. So I would have to be, as the leader of this new thing, all in. I'd have to demonstrate mentally, emotionally, physically that I'm all in. Otherwise, why would anybody who's sane join me? And so that's true if I was to start another network marketing company. Now, why would I start another network marketing company? Because they have better products, because they are younger, which translates into people don't really know about them. Because really, young, old, that's really what that translates into is how many people know about them. And so if you asked all those questions, I'd come to the same conclusion, and that is, well, A, nobody knows about Nikan. For all intents and purposes, nobody knows about us. Certainly not the market that I'm interested in tapping. And so why would I have to, are there better products? Do I need better products to make money? No. Any product will do. And these are pretty good products, so they'll do. Um, can you make money with this Nikkei compensation plan? Well, I've made millions, so yeah, I think I can. So I don't really need another compensation plan that has all these doodads and this and that and whatever, because I don't need to spend time explaining how the money's carved up. There's only so much money to go around. It's carved up fairly to pay the people who make it happen, essentially. So if I intend to be that person, I'm pretty sure I'll be covered. So don't need another compensation plan. So then what do I need? I need an attitude of somebody who's launching a new business. I need the attitude, the energy, the passion, the focus, the intention, the energy as if I was starting a new business, which for somebody who's never heard of Niken is a new business. So why would I have to go find another business? I wouldn't. It just wouldn't make any sense, not logical. And yet some people think that's the answer. Let me take my crap to another business so I can play crap there too. That's not going to work either. So it all comes back to the same thing, the intention. And there's no reason in the world why I can't make a decision, me, myself. I don't need anybody else's help or permission to make a decision to launch Niken as if Niken was brand spanking new to the world because it is. And so that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm announcing for January 5th, 2026, is that I'm launching Niken. And I expect to do a 5-year run to 500 million with or without you. That's the bottom line. And I'm pretty focused on that, pretty intent on that. God knows my intention. I'm making it very clear to him too. So I just, that comes with a certain expectation, a certain amount of enthusiasm, a certain commitment to activities and so forth. So the dynamics of the calls in January are going to change because they're going to be reflective of that person who's running that intention and that intensity. So that was just a little bit of a heads up on what last week's call was about and why it was what it was. So, Dave, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Michael. Good to see you again.
You
Happy
too.
holidays to everybody.
Yes, happy holidays. Has
Uh,
anybody done their shopping?
yeah, really. I wanted to, if I could, just clarify. We did a call. I posted it. And at the end, we had a couple of questions that didn't get put on the recording, but it, there were questions I wanted to think about before I immediately came out with an answer. And the questions were when I talked about in qualifying somebody when you're prospecting, the idea is you want to find the problem first. In other words, you want to find what's ruining their life or what's getting in their way before you get into any of the nuts and bolts and all of the intricacies of Nick and its product line, et cetera, et cetera. Because once the person lets you know that there is an issue to be dealt with, and you then say to him, well, or her, I've got a good solution for you. I'd like to show you how, and they agree to that. Then you can get into the nuts and bolts. Then you can get into the explaining of it. But here's the important message that is, and why I always, I'm in the distribution business. I wasn't in Nikon because what I realized in my life and experience, people will judge very quickly whether they know or don't know what's going on. And if they judge too quickly, they could miss the boat. If and this is kind of a funny thing to say, but you really want to get them into the story. You
Yeah, no,
really want
Dave,
to
you're
get
you're
them in.
hitting a really important point. This is really important.
Thank you, Michael. You really want to get them enthusiastic and excited about the potential of them solving their issue, because once that kicks in, it really doesn't matter what they're going to do. What's they'll fall in love with the product, that's a piece of cake. They'll fall in love with the idea, that's a piece of cake. What they're most concerned with, and again, we're talking about and the whole focus of my education and training is it's the business guys that build the business. And you've got to have them in your organization if you want to make this work for you. And if you want to do that 500 million, it's got to be built by people that really want to go to the wall and do 500 million. Now, I would like to recruit Michael again because I know he knows exactly what to do. But the most of the people that you talk to have no idea of what to do. So it's kind of like you got to walk before you run here. You got to get them in the right frame of mind. And, we talk about mindset and all that sort of stuff. And it was like I had tried network marketing 13 times and failed miserably 13 times. And I'm approached to do another network marketing company. But what I was approached on not to do the network marketing company was to solve my economic problem because I just lost in a business enterprise that went broke because the manufacturer couldn't supply us with products. So I wasn't concerned about it being what product it was. What I was concerned was, is the potential to solve my issue the issue? And if you look at today's world, what's going on in society today, 2025, what people are most concerned about is their well-being and their future because everything's so unstable. So, and the biggest questions they're going to ask you, well, how's it work? What do I have to do? How to make it? So you really got to, be able to get in there and lay the roadmap, get the plan going. And then the other thing that I said that was also most important, when you recruit somebody, they just, help them. I mean, really help them. You bring somebody into the business, don't expect that they're going to set the world on fire. But if you organize and channel your energy into them and help them find people, put on the meetings, do all the ABCs, all of that sort of stuff, and drive that down to create some stability and strength, then you're going to have a lasting business. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the videos. The last one I thought was spectacular as a business video, and we'll continue that series. Anyway, that's all, Michael.
Terrific. Excellent. Good stuff. So that's one of the things is that I think this is a good way of supporting the field is with Dave's trainings, and we'll figure out what to do with the Thursday 8 p.m. call. I still think it's a good idea to have that option available for new people who want the business, new people. not people who are already in NECAN, new people, unless you're the one bringing that new person in. So that 8 p.m. call is not a training call. It is a recruiting call. It's a call for people asking the question of show me the money or how does the business work? What do I got to do to succeed? It's really what do I need to do to make it work? Call. That option will be on the table for Thursdays at 8. So your training of the business, if you're already in the business, will continue with Dave on his call. So that's how we'll sort of divide and conquer, so we can create a path for new people and create ongoing support for existing field to learn greater depth. This Monday night call will be more specific to, again, the process of enrollment. One of the things that people need is a little bit of a push to get going, to get the business started. So it's more of a startup. In fact, the original intention of aligning with success was to align somebody new who has no agenda, no calendar with the activities of the group, the calendar of the group, the rhythm of the business. So that was the original reason why the Aligning Success call was created. It ended up becoming more of a mentoring coaching call, which I think we can push to the Thursday night, and the Monday night can become more specific again to the recruiting process, because that's going to be the emphasis in 2026. It's new people who need to know how to get started on Monday. The Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday schedule will continue to support existing organizations and teams, but the new people is the focus, especially on the Monday and the Thursday evening call. Yeah. So, any questions, by the way, out there? Here we are in December. We're in like by the way, tomorrow's Wednesday, right? Tomorrow's Wednesday? No, wait, tomorrow,
Tomorrow's
tomorrow's
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Tomorrow's
Sorry,
Tuesday.
Wednesday. This is the final Wednesday of the year where you can have double points. And I really hope you're using this strategically, because it's an opportunity, obviously, to meet qualifications, but to advance people's ranks, which I think are super, super important as we go into 2026. Yes. Hi, Bela.
Hi. So you were asking about whether we got the check that we wrote in January. I wasn't part of this in January.
Ah, yes, of course.
And when you put me up to it in whenever it was, April or whatever, I thought in my mind, I set a number, and
Okay.
that's what pretty much my check was for combined last week and today.
Yes.
I didn't get gold, but heck,
Hey,
that
listen,
number that I had, I got.
I'm telling you something. I'm telling you something. That is huge, because it's so that was a part of my conversation again today, is if you don't have a goal, how can you possibly lead yourself, let alone anybody else? You will not attract people to you who are worth attracting if you don't have somewhere to go yourself. And if you do have somewhere to go yourself, you're going to attract people and consequences, results. And Bela, that's exactly what you did.
Yeah,
Even though it may have been modest, maybe you
it's
gave
modest,
yourself,
but I mean, but it
right?
is the number that that first time when you put me up to it, that's the number that popped into my head. And, then of course I became a little more ambitious and the silver thing happened. And so then I said, I want to go for gold in December. But honestly, given what I've been battling with physically the last month or so, I think I'm happy because when I looked at my bank account, I said, what? Today, I'm not expecting anything. And it's the 15th of the month. And I go in and I say, oh, and then last Friday, oh, okay, great.
Yeah, it's a nice oil.
Yeah.
It's
I
Christmas.
just thought I would share.
That's great. Fantastic. By the way, now that you have a little bit more ambition, a little bit more horsepower, or maybe experience, don't be afraid to set a big goal. The goal that you set for yourself is automatically the gatekeeper of who you're going to attract. let me remind you of this law of attraction. The goal you set for yourself is the gatekeeper of who you're going to attract. So let's just say, for instance, you set a goal for a certain number. Well, you're going to only attract what's necessary to achieve that number. Few people actually exceed their goals.
Mhm.
So you're only going to attract what's even possible to achieve that goal. So it's the gatekeeper of who you're going to attract and their possibilities. So keep that in mind. If your goal is too small, then you may not attract the people who have big goals. So maybe you should have a wild and scary goal, now that you've got a little bit of
I'm
experience.
not you though.
You don't have to be me. You don't have to be me. You can
You
leverage
just
me.
have the right
You
things to say.
you can let that's what Bela. How many ABC calls have you done with me in the last 6 months?
Only one.
Yeah, only one. I'm here. Maggie, you got your hand up.
Right. This is very exciting, Michael. January the 5th. What I would like to see, if you are willing and able to do that, I know you're able, willing probably as well. What do you suggest that we, as people who want to blow out the doors in 2026, do between now and January the 5th? And what can we expect on that launch call on January the 5th?
Well, on the launch call, I haven't discussed this with Dave yet, so we're gonna have to powwow first before that. But it will be a call to action and an intention. There may be some very specific things that we lay out so that you actually have some practical tools that'll support the agenda. But like what do
How
you want
about
to?
how about a couple of hundred people on this call?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like between now and then, what do you want to do? Okay, here, let me answer this question with a question. If somebody told you that Nikken stock was going to become public on January 5th and that anybody was going to be able to buy it at $1 a share, but it was expected to rise by the end of the year, 2026, by a factor of 10. So the dollar would be worth 10, whatever shares they bought. If you knew that Nikken stock was going to go public for the first time, its initial public offering, IPO, on January 5th, what would you be saying to people right about now? How would you be saying it? Who would you be saying it to?
Are you asking me or the group in general?
It's sort of a rhetorical question, but you can
Yeah.
answer. You can.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be saying, I know something that I think you're going to want to know, because this is the first time it's ever happened in the 50-year history of this company that is already a presence in the world. And between now and 2030, they have a commitment to 10x the business. And for the very first time, we're able to get shares as of January the 5th. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to be on that call because I'm excited, and I encourage you to be on that call as well, because it may or may not be for you, but boy, you'll get the vibe.
Okay, so that story is not the story, but you kind of get the idea, right? So we're not having shares, but what could they do?
Yeah.
They could share in the profits of the
Yes.
10x of the company
Yeah.
as we grow this company. So they can participate and share in the profit of a company that's going to go up to 500 million
And
over the
already
next
has a
5 years
50-year success track.
and
Yeah.
has a track record and it's not a roll of the dice. It's not a crapshoot. It's a sure thing. And so that's how I would approach it. How I would approach it is how I approached it back in 1991. This is December 15. Tomorrow will be the anniversary of the day that I sent my Nikken application form into Nikken in 1991, 34 years ago. And I was doing just that this time of the year. I was telling people about what was about to happen. and that there was an opportunity of a lifetime, that there was something that was already a barnstorm in Japan. It's already proven, it's already done billions of dollars. It's like I was saying, it's a blue chip stock. It's already proven. It's not a question mark. It's not if it's going to happen. It's when it's going to happen. And now we know when it's going to happen because we're launching as of this date. So it was, for me, it was like giving people an absolute view of the future because I had a perfect view of the past. So that's the same as it is today. We have 50-year past track record to look at and say, look what this company has achieved. And not that many companies have survived 50 years and have done billions of dollars with a proprietary technology that's still proprietary. And now look to the future. What is it that they've set in motion and intend to do? They've set their sights on 500 million, which means all pistons are firing and are going to attract everything that's needed. Who knows what product we're going to discover in the next little while on account of this goal?
Mhm.
Like, do you understand? When you make a decision like that, when you set a goal like that, you start attracting all kinds of things that you would never have attracted into your view if you didn't have that goal. So we may in fact have $1 billion product that lands on our
Mhm.
doorstep because of this. I'm already aware of one that I know is $1 billion product. It's the number one selling product in Japan. And they're actually looking at it for us. So this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about things happen when decisions get made. And things don't happen until decisions get made. But when the decision gets made, things start to move into play, especially if that decision is a committed decision. And then you start to live from the point of view. This is important. You live from the point of view of the person who succeeded where that
Mhm.
decision was concerned.
Yeah.
So if you knew that Niken was going to do 500 million by 2030, if you knew that you were a part of that and you were a big part of that, how would you live right now? How would you talk right now? Who would you communicate with right now from that point of view? Not that if it might happen, it's happened. If you actually acted, I'll give another example of this. This is a little bit more close to home, maybe, for anybody who's ever gotten married. So, when you made a decision to get married, the first thing that happens is you set a date. Until that date, it's just, we're thinking about it. We're engaged, forever engaged. Until there's a date for a wedding, it's just an engagement. It's just a possibility. But once the date happens, it triggers something, doesn't it?
Mhm.
What happens next?
Planning.
Mm. So you got to book the church because you got to make sure the church is available. You got to book the hall because you got to make sure the hall's available. And then what else happens? All the long-term planning happens first, right? All the things that have to be in place that might. And so, but if that date didn't get put in your mind and if you didn't commit to that date, none of those plans would be starting to be made.
You
None
can't
of the
send out the invitations till you have a date.
No, you wouldn't even have a list. You wouldn't even have a list of people who you're going to invite. You got to scrap over that, right? Oh, we can't invite them because they're in. So you got to have that experience. Like nothing would actually happen if you didn't have a date. But the second you have a date, it sets in motion a whole bunch of stuff that would never have happened. It's a date with destiny.
Mhm.
But you start acting right away as though that date with destiny is actually happening, right?
Mhm.
You don't act like maybe we're getting married on that date. You make the decision, you pick the date, and then you act like that's happening that day, and you plan it as if it's happening that day the way you plan it. So, why wouldn't you treat your business like that? What's the difference? There is no difference. We just make it up as if it's different. We just think it's different, but it's not. It's the same thing. It's a date with destiny. And you act now as if you're having that date with destiny when that date happens. And then you start planning all the long-term stuff, working backwards to what has to get done right now. It's
Mike,
really
I
simple.
wanted to
Yeah.
say something about the wedding and um, the other example that you gave where the shares are, 10xing. And I was thinking, okay, now what market or who would I be talking to in the wedding situation or in the 10x situation? And it wouldn't be new people that I just met. I'd go back to my warm market, I think, or the people that I know well, and say, "Oh, something big is changing, and XYZ." But for the wedding too, it's like a big deal is happening. So because I'm getting nowhere with people that I don't know in terms of, they don't know me. They've known me for 2 minutes. It's just not, I'd have to go through many, many cards before something happens. But maybe as something new and exciting can be, I can say to people that I do know and do know well, who so far maybe haven't done that much, but maybe they're familiar with the product, but maybe something can change with this warm market.
And by
I
the
don't know.
way, Paul, that's not a bad idea. I mean, I think there's always, in fact, you can always do the indirect approach. You can always approach that warm market indirectly with saying, okay, you got a photo shoot, Dave? No wonder you're all spiffed up, eh? Okay, have a good shoot. Um, what was I saying? So yeah, maybe a warm market. Maybe it's the indirect approach where you might say to them, I realize we've talked about this, and this may not be for you. It's a big deal, and I'm very serious about finding the right person. And then so you kind of say, here's where I'm calling. I'm calling because I think maybe you can help me with this, not directly, maybe indirectly. So use the indirect approach. You know
Mm.
somebody, and then start describing the type of person you're actually looking to connect with. Now, I know you might say, yeah, but that's setting me up to go to somebody cold. No, because if it's a referral from somebody you trust and respect, then there's a connection, there's a relationship, there's a common thread. It's the common person.
Yes.
So that's
Yeah.
not a cold market approach. That's actually the smartest thing to do. It's tapping into your warm market. You ever hear me say, on your $1 million list, there's 100 names, and each of those 100 people know 100 people you don't know. 100 times 100 is 10,000 people. So
Yeah.
if all you did was figure out how do I get to my warm market's warm market,
Yes.
then what questions would I ask and how would I ask it? And is now a good time to ask it? And is this the right timing? Do I have something that I can share with enthusiasm and excitement about a future event that I know I'm going to participate in? And so will the people who join me. Can I speak with enthusiasm about it? I tell you, when you're living in the future as though it's the reality of the present, you're creating a fiction, but you're believing it in your heart. And there's a biblical passage about what you believe in your heart. If you believe it in your heart. So the laws of what govern the creation of this world and our experience of it is so precise, is so exact. We should spend most of our time talking about those laws and understanding how specific and exact they are because we are experiencing them every day. You are manifesting a reality. It's not somebody else manifesting your reality, it's you manifesting your reality. And if somebody says to me, yeah, well, where does God fit into this? What about God's will? Wait. There's no argument here. God made it possible for you to have free will. A, God created the platform, the space, the game, the three-dimensional time relationship that you have to live in and create and manifest an experience. God set that in motion. And God's will, it's pretty clear what God's will is: health, prosperity, abundance. It's written in the Bible. That's God's will for you. So, health, prosperity, abundance, being of service to others, and giving the glory to the Father. So, hello, it's pretty straight up. I think that's not in contradiction to you being a Nikken success story. In fact, I think it's an obligation to be a Nikken success story if you go by those parameters. So yeah, back to the idea of what would you say, how would you act right here, right now, if that future reality was the reality that you're creating and will experience in the next 5 years? And you have to live that way. There is no other way to live. The other way to live is fatalistic. Oh, well, what will be, will be. Que sera, sera. That's a fatalistic point of view. That's abdicating your authority and your sovereignty as a co-creator in this reality. That's allowing everybody else to create through you by influencing your thoughts and feelings of the day. How many people allow that to happen? Every single day. They allow other people to influence their thoughts and feelings. Well, if you spend any time scrolling, you're doing it. So I suggest you be very careful with what you're allowing into your conscious and subconscious mind, especially if you're doing it while you're lying in bed and starting to fall asleep, because your subconscious mind is wide open at that moment in time. And whatever you put into it, it goes to work. It's a seed. So be more conscious about that. Be more deliberate about what you allow into your conscious mind and your subconscious mind, which is why you're finding, by the way, if you're hearing me being a little bit more faith-based, I don't know if any of you guys have listened to any of my daughters lately, but holy smokes. And, they just started a podcast that's really starting. They had 100,000 people on one of their reels for the first time. They had 1,000 followers hit their YouTube channel following them. Podcast is Meet Me at the Altar. And it's brilliant because they're brilliant. And it's very candid, and it's scary as a father listening to it. But but I'll tell you, I'm so proud of them because they are really guiding. They're a guiding light for what it means to be inspired and to be aligned with truth, and to live your truth. So yeah, so I was saying my guideposts are becoming much more solidified. They're less gobbly-gop. They're much more clear about what I align to, and I think that gives me the confidence to be able to say what I say publicly to you guys with the confidence that I do. I mean, I double down on the law of attraction because it's pretty clear to me. It's biblical. And so I really think it's important that we start acting and thinking and behaving like somebody who expects the best, who expects the most, not the least, not just to get by. And it doesn't matter how old you are. That's not an excuse. I mean, if we really look at it from that standpoint, well, I think it was Colonel Sanders who sold his first franchise when he was like 60 or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all kinds of examples of people in the modern age who didn't actually experience their
Louise Hay,
breakthrough, and yeah, Louise Hay, until their
65.
breakthrough until later on in life, much later on in life. And so um, age is not a factor. It's just when do you start to actually use the gifts that you have been given and use them to create in a bigger way, in a way that's more aligned with what is intended for us. I just know what's intended for us is so much greater. Think of it this way. If you have a child, if any of you have children, would you not want absolutely the best for them? Like you would not want to deprive them
Yes.
of anything. You would want them to have the absolute ultimate experience. You'd want them to surpass any of your experiences and expectations. You would just want nothing but the best for them. Can you imagine your Father in heaven wanting any less? for you? How does that make any sense? It doesn't. So the creator of the universe that gifted you with free will and the ability to choose and make decisions and create and be functional in that co-creation wants the best for you. What do you want for you?
Yeah. Do people
The
know
best.
that this is not totally different subject, but there's faith, and then there's like numbers, and then Sandro Casado is a numbers guy, but he's also a faith guy. Does everybody know his book came out?
What's it called? Shoot for the moon or the moonshot?
Uh, Mo- Moonshot, yeah, and it's out now. It's 11 books on iBooks. So I've started reading it. It's really good. It's for like the new person, but he's so precise. Week one, you do this. Week two, you do this. It's like it's a recipe. I haven't finished it, but I like what he's done so far.
Yeah. Does any of it have to do with vision, by the way?
Oh yeah, yes, it has to. Yes,
Where there is no vision, the people will perish. There
yeah,
has to be a vision. Everything starts there. It's with the end in mind. It's the date with destiny. So I really hope you buy in to this idea of a date with destiny. 2030 is going to happen. We're going to be there. And what's going to have happened as your decision now and the decision you make, and the decision you make that's a committed one that is reinforced by your daily choices, your daily activities, is what's going to determine the compound effect of that by 2030. And so, and it's easy to get lost. It's easy to get off track. And that's why we gather as a team, but I think I've been doing a crappy job at pointing you back in the right direction from a spiritual account, because everything starts there. Nothing that happens in the physical begins in the physical. Nothing, not a single thing. So it all begins in the spiritual and then is made manifest. And so if we're not addressing the source, the cause on a daily basis, it's really easy to get lost. It's really easy to get sidetracked. And you lose so much time and energy. And then you look back and think, my God, I lost a day. And then it's a week, and then it's a month. So we need that revisiting on a daily, aligning with success. I mean, the whole point of that statement, aligning with success, is to realign, align and realign, and keep coming back to the source, because it is the source of all things. And so, yeah, our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions need to be consistent, aligned with a date with destiny. You need to act today as though that date with destiny is the truth, is the fact. And there can't be anything. There's no gray in this, by the way. I'm going to tell you a story because I feel like telling you this story because it's one of the things that is really impressed. I went to see David, by the way, the movie, the animated movie this weekend, which is out by the group that produces the show The Chosen, which is one of my favorite
oh yes.
TV series in ever. And there's a scene in that series. I can't remember what episode it is, but it's a biblical it's a big biblical scene. And Jesus is walking through this crowd of people in Capernaum, I think it's where he was. And a woman who had been suffering for over a decade of bleeding, she was bleeding always, some internal problem that could not be resolved. And of course, in the whole religious thing, if a woman is bleeding, she's unclean. She cannot be touched. She cannot touch anybody. So it's called, she's unclean. Meanwhile, so he's in this crowd and he's walking through this crowd, bumping into him. And all of a sudden he feels his power is lost. Like that. He feels, who touched me? And like the crowd goes in shock all of a sudden because all of a sudden he's like, "Who touched me?" And they're like in shock. And the woman admits it was her, but she didn't touch him. He's not unclean because she didn't touch him. She just touched the I forget what they call it, but it's the rope on the end of his garment. They wear one in each corner. It's a very specific thing that they wear. Um, she touched this tassel. It was a tassel. Just the tassel. Can you imagine? And he felt all this power loss through her touching this tassel. He stops and he turns and he says, he looks at her and she explains why she touched his tassel. She said, because she just knew. She just knew that if she just could touch his tassel, she would be healed. And he is so moved by what happens, by what she said, by her faith, her demonstration of faith. He is so moved. He says, daughter. He calls her daughter. And the whole crowd is like freaking out because she's unclean. She's the one that's been for like over a decade bleeding, and everybody's like, "What is this guy doing? She shouldn't be here. She shouldn't be in contact with him." And he's like, he just gives her 100% of his attention. Everybody else is non-existent for that moment, just to acknowledge her because of what she did, which was touch the tassel in faith, with such faith. He said, and she said, and I knew it, and I knew it, and I am healed. She could feel it immediately, the healing. And she's not all apologetic well, she isn't, but he doesn't care. He says to her, it's your faith that healed you. It is your faith that healed you. That's a powerful thing to say if you're him, because what he's acknowledging is that the healing can only happen to those who really believe in their heart. That's where it comes from. All the power in the world, all the connection, the proximity to the truth, the power can't change the situation if the person doesn't have faith. That's the thing that plugs them in. So if you're not operating your life, your business, your circumstances from faith on a level that's in your heart, then the power can't move. It can't change anything. The power is infinite. It's omnipresent. It's in you. It's around you. It has the ability to change your circumstances in an instant. But it requires one thing of you, the faith of a mustard seed. That little bit of faith, but it's undeniable because the faith would cast out doubt. And we're so enamored with doubt and confusion, and it disempowers us, it disengages us, and then we get lost. We're easily distracted. So it's important to come back to the truth and understand, what is your power, what is your source, where's your strength come from, and your ability to make things happen. Believe me, if it is God's will that you should be happy, healthy, and wealthy, and there's no reason why it's not, he didn't reserve that for some people and not for others. I don't believe that for a second, because it's in the book what his will is for you as a person. Well, then, what do you got to do to get there? You got to align with it. You got to accept that truth for yourself. And then you have to operate as though it's the truth. And you have to operate with absolute, undeniable faith that it is the truth and it is what is your destiny, your date with destiny. When you start moving into that, when you start being that person, what do you think you're going to attract? People around you won't recognize you. They will see a different version of you and they will be moved and inspired. Some will question it, some might even reject it, but some, think about who rejected Christ. The people who were teaching the Bible, right? Who were teaching the laws, they were the ones who the first to reject him. So yeah, you might get some of that, might get some rejection, but you'll also get connection to people who can move the needle, can make a difference. So again, get back to faith-based reality, because it's another thing. It's either fear or faith, right? Those are the two prominent emotions. And as my mentor would say, either one requires you to believe in something invisible. Either one. Fear, it's an invisible idea. You have to believe in an invisible idea. Fear is imagining something that you don't want to happen. Faith is imagining something you want to happen. Both require you to believe in something that's not visible. So pick one.
You made me think of something, Mike. So as a child, I was raised Catholic, and as children, we were taught a lot about this. And so, of course, as blind children and as a blind child, of course, I remember, I was going to be sighted on the 6th of May. I remember that day clearly. Well, it didn't happen. But what the aha I just had today was, well, that doesn't mean you can't be, healthy and prosperous and all the things that you have so far. That can be extended even more, and that I've been shown.
As a matter of fact, there is there is a place, there is a story where the apostles asked him about the blind man. And they said, was this man born blind on account of his sins or the sins of his parents? And Jesus said he was born this way for the glory of God. So there's some glory in who you are as you are that is being shared with the world. And yeah, the more you make of it, Paul, the more glory there is.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to end on a high, and I think that's a pretty good one.
Can I say something real quick though, Mike?
Sure, Norma.
I'm going to say, Paul, you have been I want to say role model. That's not quite the right word I'm looking for. But for you to make it so high and to be blind, there's no reason that none of us can't do it. You are so outstanding out there. So that you're a wow figure, you and your wife both. And I've been thinking about that ever since we were in Nashville. So I have to share it.
Oh, well, thank you.
Thank you, Norma. Well, just another high, even higher high. All right, everybody. Thanks for tonight. We'll see you next week. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night.